I was gliding past a chandelier big enough to land a helicopter on tray, steady smile stitched on like part of the uniform, when a small voice tugged the floor out from under me. "Excuse me, miss? Are you my mama?" The glass in my hand did a slow lean. I caught it, looked down, and there he was, blonde hair, green eyes, suit jacket sliding off one shoulder, like it was tired of being rich. Staring at me like I'd stepped out of a story he already knew, "Sweetheart," I whispered. "You've got the wrong person." He shook his head like I'd mispronounced the truth. "No, you smell like her. And you hum the song," and my ribs went tight, because that old hum was mine private. The one I used to keep the world from shaking me loose. Then the room sliced open as Carlton Pierce, the name on half the donor plaques in Bayview, cut through the crowd with a smile that never reached his eyes. "Theo, step away from that woman," he said like he owned gravity. The boy clung harder. "She's my mom." Pierce reached. Theo jerked back. Someone gasped. Someone snapped a photo. Then the child went limp. And I caught him. "Crystal exploded on marble," I said. "Call a medic," Pierce snarled. "Don't touch him." Security arrived. The way money summons storms fast. And already sure I was wrong, they walked me out while the violins pretended nothing had happened. Winter slapped me at the service door. My hands shook, my breath turned to little angry clouds. Rosa, my supervisor, shoved my coat at me and said, "The medics were taking Theo to Saint Ignace," and then she said a name that rang like a bell only grief can hear. His mother was Naomi Reyes, my best friend from a lifetime ago, the girl who once wrote me a letter, the week I buried my baby, and promised to stand in all the places I couldn't. Before I could breathe, a woman in a navy suit appeared with a folder like it paid rent in her hand. "Harper Quinn, counsel to Mr. Pierce, trespass notice, do not return, do not contact, do not exist. What is he afraid I'll find?" I asked. She blinked in lawyer control and left. So I went to the Maple Avenue Library, because when men like Pierce say, "Go left," I go right and take notes. I typed Naomi Reyes until the keyboard warmed to my fingers, found a wedding announcement. "Quietly abroad, to a man whose press releases had press releases." A memorial with no date, just soft words that buried questions. A birth certificate for Theodore Whitman Pierce 5 years ago, which made the math do cartwheels. Because if Naomi died 6 years back, who was holding the newborn in that hospital bed? You know what I mean? I called Ms. Delaney at the youth center where Naomi and I once painted murals and talked about saving the world with cheap brushes. She let me in. The house smelled like lavender and old books. She opened a wooden box and handed me an envelope, mailed from an airport. Naomi's handwriting scratched across it, like she'd been racing the clock. "Lena, if this finds you, I didn't make it back. I was wrong about him. If anything happens, please protect my boy. His name is Theo. I told him stories about you, so he'd know your voice when he heard it. You were always my courage." I pressed the paper to my chest, the way you press gauze to a wound, and felt something old start to steady. I parked across from Pierce's estate that night, the kind of mansion that confuses money with virtue. Rosa slid into my passenger seat and handed me a USB hallway camera from the Gala Raw. Then she said, "What people like Pierce do when they feel a floor move. Rumor is Switzerland, private school staff only." And I said he's trying to erase him too at 11. The gardener keyed 1979 into the service gate. Rich people love sentimental numbers. The lock clicked. The hall smelled like polished quiet. The nursery door said, "Theo" in brass. I didn't knock. The door opened, his eyes lit. "Mom." He ran. I dropped to my knees and held on like the building might shake us loose. I showed him a button mic, the size of a shirt stud. "Hide this if you need me. Press and say, 'Mama knows.'" Heavy steps passed. We breathed anyway. "I have to go," I said, "but I'll be back," and You know what? Promises are dangerous around men who think apologies are for other people next morning. I sat in legal aid with Marcus Bell, tired eyes, stubborn. I slid the letter across. She named me, he said. Uphill, and I said lace up. He scribbled a list, emergency guardianship, sworn statements, photos, the Gala video. By lunch, a shaky vertical clip hit the internet. A kid in a tux cutting through a sea of sequins yelling mom and crashing into a server in black. And yeah, that happened by night. Pierce tried to move Theo private strip jet. Warming, I ran the maintenance panel blackout. We'd mapped 3 minutes of red emergency lights, like a heartbeat. A nurse looked at me, looked at Theo, looked at the door, and chose to be a person. Linen closet stairs, we were through the gate before the house found its power. Rosa's car door flew open. Theo whispered, "Where are we going?" And I said, "Someplace safe where nobody tells you what you remember." The judge watched the phone clip on Marcus's laptop. No commentary. Then said the magic words in a tone that didn't believe in magic. Child remains in state, no relocation, which felt like oxygen by dinner. My teenage file slid under newsroom doors, the runaway nights, the food I stole when hunger made morals blurry, the therapy notes from after my daughter's funeral. People call that research. It's a message poor girls don't get to be mothers. I stood up in court before Pierce's attorneys could weaponize shame and said, "Yes, I ran. Yes, I stole groceries when I was sleeping in a shelter. Yes, I sat in rooms where crying was the whole agenda. It doesn't make me unfit, it makes me human. And a child ran to me because he knew I would choose him, not a headline." The room got that soft quiet, where everybody is remembering their own worst day. Then Keisha Tate, who used to fold towels in Pierce's house, swore under oath that Naomi tried to leave and left words behind for me. If something happens, he's Lena's. The twist dropped right after a grainy hallway video, time-stamped 3 days before Naomi's memorial. Naomi stepping into frame with her blouse torn, Pierce grabbing her arm, her pushing back, no audio. But violence doesn't need subtitles. We turned it over, the city turned on. Sponsors ghosted faster than a bad date. Then came Harper Quinn, the navy suit with the clean folder. She set a flash drive on Marcus's desk like a loaded truth and said, "I'm done." Inside were Naomi's rainy day recordings. Her saying she wouldn't sign another NDA. Her looking into a lens and speaking to me like she knew I'd be the one to hit play. "Lena, if you ever see this, it means he made me small. Please make me loud." At the second hearing, Pierce talked about stability, routine, the way money is a kind of love. If you squint, I talked about knowing a child's breathing in the dark, about the hum, about painting. Community center walls with Naomi, while we laughed at the idea that money gets the final vote. The judge didn't smile. "Judges don't," she read, and the words turned into a moment. I still replay when the apartment goes quiet, in the best interest of the child. Temporary custody to Ms. Brooks with a pathway to permanent guardianship pending adoption. Theo clapped once, a tiny clap like a coin trick worked, and my knees didn't buckle because I'd already fallen every way a person can, and I'd learned how to stand. A criminal case started opening rooms without windows. Accountability takes the scenic route. While it drove, I made grilled cheese on Tuesdays and read the same book 3 times, because the third time is where the world makes sense. We moved into a small place with a stubborn heater and sunlight that arrived like grace. Theo hums. Now he doesn't ask permission to remember. On Sundays, we sit by the pond, where the ducks act like they pay rent. He asks big questions with jam on his face. Do rich people get more chances than regular people? Sometimes I say, until regular people stop letting them. We visited a new plaque on the south side where a different name lives now. Naomi Reyes Community House, paid for by 1,000 tiny donations. I stood alone one afternoon, read the inscription, and whispered the promise I kept. He knows your name. I wish I could tell you. Pierce apologized. He didn't. Men like that don't implode, they erode. He lost board seats. He gained court dates. He learned silence has an invoice when truth finally finds the number. We're safe and still. On windy nights, when the window rattles like it remembers old arguments, I think about all the people who never got a letter in a wooden box, who never had a nurse who whispered stairs, who never had a Ms. Delaney holding their past like a lantern. Theo hears a loud voice at the grocery store. Sometimes his hand finds mine. "Mama knows," he says, smiling. "Now not scared, Mama knows." I say back, because some phrases you earn one midnight at a time tell me where you land on this. Do we trust a child's voice as evidence when the powerful want silence? Do we let bank accounts decide who gets to be a mother? Have you seen bias like this at work, in school, in a courtroom? What did it look like when somebody finally said, "Enough, drop your take, argue with me if you need to, and if you believe kids should be heard first, type 'Hear the child,' so the next person scrolling sees it before another headline tries to make them forget."